Welcome to the official podcast series by POTENZA, where innovation meets insight. In this series, we dive deep into the world of SAP, explore the power of robotic process automation, and unlock the true potential of data analytics. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just curious about the digital transformation shaping our world, you're in the right place. Tune in, stay curious, and let's explore the future of enterprise technology together. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube for more powerful insights. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you work in business today, you know the mandate. Digital transformation must happen now.
Right.
And automation, everything from, basic RPA bots to really complex AI systems, it's the non-negotiable engine driving it.
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
Companies are pouring staggering sums into the best technology available.
Yeah.
And yet, for a huge percentage of those organizations, the transformation just stalls out. The ROI never materializes.
And that's the core tension we're unpacking today, what our research calls the automation paradox. It's fascinating, really. Businesses are automating more tasks than ever before, but they seem to be achieving less strategic impact. And we aren't talking about small hiccups here. Industry data shows that a significant portion, I think 30 to 50% of initial automation initiative struggle. They just don't deliver the expected returns.
Well, they just never scale beyond those first few pilots.
Exactly. They get stuck in pilot purgatory.
That failure rate is brutal. And it happens because organizations often treat automation like it's purely a technical procurement problem. Buy the tool, hire the team, expect magic.
Right, which never works.
But the sources are crystal clear. Technology is a means, it's not the strategy itself.
Precisely. You need an architect, not just a contractor pulling wires.
Yeah.
And that's our focus today. The critical role of automation advisory services, or AAS.
Okay.
They are the strategic guides, the architects, designed specifically to bridge that gap between just doing automation activities and actually achieving measurable business impact.
So they help shape the whole thing.
Yes. AS develops, implements, and then optimizes the automation strategy, but always within the context of your broader digital journey. And crucially, they are technology neutral. That's key.
Okay, let's maybe start by defining who the players are, because this ecosystem can feel a bit, dizzying. We've identified 3 key roles you really need to be aware of.
Good idea.
First, the advisory consultants. That's AAS. Think of them as the strategic architects, the ones designing the blueprint.
The thinkers.
Second, you have the technology vendors. They're the suppliers, providing the platforms, the tools. Could be Microsoft, UiPath, Blue Prism, whoever.
The tool providers. Got it.
And third, you have the implementation partners. These are like the contractors. They execute the blueprint, they write the code, they build the specific solution.
Right, the builders.
So where does AAS fit in that picture?
AS sits firmly above the vendors and implementers, acting as your objective advisor. They ensure the entire structure serves your long-term business goals, not just, pushing a specific piece of software.
Making sure the investment actually pays off.
Exactly. It's about making sure your money and effort actually yield tangible results.
Okay, let's unpack this core issue then. Why do these companies, often with cutting-edge tech, fail so spectacularly at scaling automation? It seems counterintuitive.
It really does.
You have the best tools, but you're still stuck. The sources point to 3 immediate, dangerous challenges that pop up when that strategic piece is missing.
Yeah, the first one, and maybe the most immediate killer of scale, is what we call the fragmented technology stack problem.
Fragmented stack.
Think about how big companies are often structured, without some central strategic oversight. Individual departments, HR, finance, legal, operations, they all start procuring their own solutions.
Right, to solve their own little local fires.
Exactly. Finance buys an RPA tool they like for invoice processing. HR gets a specialized workflow system for onboarding. Operations might deploy a different, maybe older automation tool for their stuff.
And none of it talks to each other.
Precisely. You end up with this complete incompatible patchwork quilt of technology. It's like trying to build a smart home where every room uses a different wiring standard and different apps. Total chaos, integration nightmares, massive duplication of licensing costs. Why pay for 3 different RPA platforms? And then there's the governance headache for IT. It becomes almost unmanageable.
And you lose any potential enterprise-wide benefits.
You can't leverage synergies. You kill the potential for true end-to-end process automation because the tools literally can't communicate effectively.
Okay, so that's the tech patchwork problem. What's next? You mentioned ROI expectations.
Yes, challenge number 2. Misalign ROI expectations. And specifically, the trap of focusing only on labor cost reduction.
Explain that, because saving headcount seems like the most obvious win, right?
It seems obvious, and it's a classic trap. Most initial initiatives get justified purely by saying, hey, this bot saves us 2 FTs worth of work, so we saved $100,000 this year. Easy math.
Okay, but why is that flawed strategically?
Because it fundamentally misses the point of digital transformation. You might automate data entry faster, sure, but if that data entry was never the real bottleneck stopping you from, say, getting a new product to market faster, then what have you actually gained strategically? Very little.
Okay, you optimized a small piece that wasn't the core problem.
Exactly. The real value drivers that advisory services look for are bigger things. Enhanced regulatory compliance, reducing operational risk, increasing overall business agility, getting better data for faster, smarter decisions.
Those sound much more impactful.
They are. Those benefits are far more enduring and variable than just shaving a few people off the payroll. AAS helps establish a comprehensive value framework that captures that bigger picture, not just the easy headcount number.
That's a critical distinction, and I imagine that kind of narrow focus feeds right into the third challenge you mentioned, siloed deployment.
It does. It leads to what we call the isolated pockets of efficiency problem.
Right. Give us a real-world example of that.
Okay, think about a complex process like customer order fulfillment. It touches multiple departments. Sales might automate the initial intake brilliantly. Orders processed in minutes instead of hours. Great.
Sounds good so far.
That's like the Formula One pit crew changing a tire in 3 seconds flat. Super fast. But then that perfectly automated data hits the finance department, which still requires 3 manual sign-offs, prints the data onto paper for someone to physically archive it, and maybe keys it into another system manually.
So the whole process still grinds to a halt later on.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The overall cycle time hasn't budged an inch because of that internal friction downstream. The efficiency gains from the first step are completely negated by the bottlenecks later.
You needed an end-to-end view.
You needed an enterprise-wide view to smooth the whole track, but you only optimized one single turn. AES ensures that cross-department alignment, making sure your automations create genuine straight-through processing, not just faster handoffs to the next manual step.
And here's something our sources really emphasized, which kind of surprised me. The best advisors often catch a fundamental mistake before any technology is even deployed.
Oh, absolutely. Experienced advisory consultants know that automating a broken or inefficient process simply creates a faster broken process.
Right. You're just making the problems happen quicker.
You are enshrining inefficiency at machine speed, which is why CRE insists on process optimization first. That means eliminating unnecessary steps, standardizing variations across teams, streamlining the workflow.
Cleaning it up before you automate it.
Exactly. If a task isn't actually necessary, you shouldn't automate it. You should eliminate it entirely. That foundational work, which can sometimes remove 20–30% of just unnecessary effort, is non-negotiable for long-term success.
Okay, so once they've identified the leaks, fixed the process, the real task begins, turning that chaos into a clear, long-term plan. How does AS impose that structure? You said they use a formal methodology.
They do. It's usually a pretty structured approach. Let's walk through the 3 key steps of the AS workflow.
Okay, step 1, discovery and process assessment. This sounds like the investigation phase.
It is. It's all about deep investigation. And critically, they start with the desired business outcomes, not with the technology. What are we trying to achieve for the business?
Not what cool tool can we use.
Definitely not. They conduct rigorous process landscape mapping to identify every existing pain point across the relevant areas. And very importantly, they perform an automation maturity assessment.
Maturity assessment, what's that involve?
It's benchmarking the organization's current readiness. How good are we really with technology? What's our governance like? Is our data ready for automation? It gives you a realistic starting point.
How do they figure out what's really happening on the ground? Because we all know the official process manual isn't always reality.
So true. They use modern tools, sometimes called digital forensics tools, things like process mining and task mining.
Okay, what do those do?
Think of them as systems that automatically trace the digital footprint of work. Every click, every data handover, every system interaction. They capture how work actually flows through your systems.
So it sees the real path, not the documented one.
Exactly. These tools often expose significant gaps between the documented procedures and what people are actually doing day to day. This helps establish an accurate, data-driven baseline for the whole transformation effort. Super powerful stuff.
Okay, so they've got the lay of the land. They know where you actually are. Then comes step 2, strategy and roadmap development. This sounds like the heavy lifting, the architectural phase.
This is where the high-level goals get concrete. They translate those broad ambitions like improve efficiency into really specific measurable targets.
Right.
Like reduce the order-to-cash cycle time by 40% or achieve 95% straight-through processing in our expense reporting, things you can actually track.
And they prioritize opportunities because you can't do everything at once.
Right. Prioritization is key. And they don't just look at labor savings. Opportunities get evaluated on multiple criteria. The potential business impact, sure, but also the technical complexity, the risk profile, what resources it requires.
So it's a balanced view.
It's a multidimensional scoring. This helps balance those high-impact, maybe complex transformations with some essential quick wins that can build internal momentum and show progress.
And because ABS is technology neutral, they can recommend a mix of solutions here, right?
Yeah.
They aren't just pushing one vendor's product.
Exactly. Their neutrality is crucial here. They might recommend an RPA solution from vendor A for an accounting process, but maybe a specialized workflow management platform from vendor B for a compliance process.
The best tool for the job, essentially.
The client gets the optimal tool for each strategic challenge without getting locked into one single vendor ecosystem. The output is usually a phased roadmap, often looking out 18 to 36 months.
Okay, a long-term plan.
Yeah, sequencing things logically. You build foundational automations first before you dive into the really complex data-heavy AI components later on.
And this step also delivers the governance and operating model design. You mentioned this earlier. Why is this so critical? It sounds a bit like bureaucracy.
It might sound like it, but it's far from just paperwork. This defines the structure for your internal capability, often called the Center of Excellence, or COE.
The COE, okay?
It sets the standards for development, security, maintenance. How are we going to build and run these automations consistently? And crucially, it establishes the value realization framework, the VRF.
VRF, sounds important.
It is the financial language of the program. The VRF defines the specific key performance indicators, KPIs, establishes the baseline measurements before you start, and dictates exactly how the benefits will be tracked consistently across the entire automation portfolio.
So everyone agrees on how success is measured.
Exactly. This framework isn't just a scorecard you look at occasionally. It's the language you use to justify continued executive funding and support for the next 18, 24, 36 months, because you can prove the investment is generating tangible, sustained value.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You've got to show the money to get more money. Which brings us nicely to step 3, partnering through implementation and governance. So the advisory relationship doesn't just stop once the roadmap is handed over.
Oh, absolutely not. Or at least it shouldn't. Good ES provides ongoing oversight, and this is vital for preventing things like technical debt from creeping into the solutions being built.
Technical debt, like shortcuts in the code.
Yeah, shortcuts, poor design choices made under pressure.
Yeah.
ES reviews technical designs, they audit security protocols, they manage the performance of those implementation partners and the technology vendors too.
Keeping everyone honest and aligned with the plan.
Exactly. Ensuring that the execution stays rigidly aligned with the strategic intent that was established back in step 2. It's quality control at a strategic level.
And we can't overlook the people side here. Automation isn't just code. It's about people fundamentally changing how they work. That's a huge hurdle.
It's often the biggest hurdle. That's the hidden challenge, really. So Good AAS provides essential change management support.
What does that look like?
Designing training programs, developing clear and transparent communication plans, implementing strategies to manage the inevitable resistance.
Because change is hard.
Change is hard. Automation fundamentally alters roles, processes, even corporate culture sometimes. If you don't manage that organizational shift effectively, the project can fail regardless of how perfect the technology is.
So the human element is baked in.
It has to be. Then, ideally, this relationship evolves into continuous optimization, monitoring performance, looking for new opportunities, maybe doing periodic maturity reassessments to ensure the value keeps compounding over time.
Okay, so let's say a listener is thinking, yes, we need this kind of strategic guidance. And frankly, most large enterprises probably do. How do they choose the right AAS partner? Because picking the wrong architect could derail the whole project.
That's a great question, and the selection is really consequential. You need to evaluate potential partners based on, I'd say, three non-negotiable qualities.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, look for a strategic business orientation over technical focus. The best partners lead with business objectives. They talk about risk mitigation, compliance improvement, revenue impact first.
Not just bots deployed or lines of code written.
Exactly. They must have deep expertise across the whole automation spectrum, RPA, AI, process mining, data analytics, the works. But they have to prioritize solving the business problem, not just implementing a cool tool.
Okay, strategic business focus first. What's number two?
Second, let's revisit that key concept, technology neutrality and objectivity.
Right, you mentioned this is maybe the most important factor. Why drill down on this again?
Because it's fundamental to trust in getting the right solution. It completely eliminates the conflict of interest. If an advisory partner has financial ties to a specific technology vendor, maybe through referral fees, revenue sharing, or even just internal pressure to push certain products.
They might recommend that vendor's tool even if it's not the best fit.
Precisely. They're automatically incentivized to recommend that tool, even if it's suboptimal for your specific needs or strategy. True objectivity ensures their guidance is based purely on achieving your long-term strategic goals. It allows for that essential blended architecture we talked about earlier, using the best tool for each job.
Makes sense. Avoids bias. And the third quality.
Quality 3 is that vital change management expertise. We hear it all the time. Automation projects fail because people resist them, not because the technology itself failed.
Yeah, the human factor again. Why do purely technical consultants often miss the mark here?
Because technical consultants, understandably, focus on the solution. The code, the servers, the integration points. Organizational adoption requires a different skill set. It's about understanding psychology, communication strategies, adult learning principles for training.
Soft skills, but critically important ones.
Hugely important. The best AS partners integrate change management right into the design phase from the beginning. They anticipate resistance points, they communicate the why behind the automation, not just the what, and they help plan how to upskill or reskill existing employees whose roles might change.
So it's not an afterthought tacked on at the end.
It absolutely cannot be an afterthought. It has to be a foundational layer of the entire strategy.
Okay, this leads us nicely to our final takeaway tip for choosing that partner. What's the pro tip here?
It boils down to this. Don't choose just a vendor or a consultant. Choose a visionary, a strategic partner.
A visionary. How do you spot one?
The best advisors ask those uncomfortable probing questions. Why do your processes exist the way they do today? Is automation even the right solution here, or should we eliminate the step entirely? What business outcomes truly matter to your C-suite?
They challenge your assumptions?
Yes. That constructive challenge is what separates someone just implementing tasks from someone driving genuine, lasting transformation. They push you to think bigger.
And if you get that partnership right, and the program is successful, what are the measurable outcomes you'd expect to see?
You'll see clear results, a higher average ROI per initiative because the projects chosen were strategically sound from the start. You'll see a faster overall time to value for the program because it's managed effectively. And critically, you'll see enhanced organizational capabilities.
Meaning the company gets smarter about automation itself.
Exactly. A well-functioning COE structure, better internal expertise, the ability to sustain the momentum internally long after the initial advisory engagement might scale back. You're building a capability, not just buying a solution.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize our discussion. The big shift required, it seems, is moving from just tactical automation, those simple, isolated efficiency projects, towards real strategic transformation.
That's the heart of it.
And that level of change, that complexity, really demands an external, objective strategic architect, the AIS partner. Their rigorous structure accelerates innovation while mitigating the huge risks that come with fragmented, ungoverned automation efforts.
Well put. And why this matters to you, the listener. Understanding this structure, this framework, ensures that when you encounter automation initiatives within your own organization, you know to look beyond the tool itself.
Don't just get excited about the shiny new bot.
Right. Ask the tough questions. Is there a clear strategic blueprint behind this? Is there robust governance in place? What is the value realization framework? How are we measuring success beyond just tasks completed?
And if those pieces aren't clearly defined, then the risk of failure, or at least of underdelivering on the potential, is substantial. You need that strategic underpinning. Okay, and as we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with a final provocative thought to mull over.
All right. Think about this. The long-term value of automation isn't really just about task completion, that's just the baseline expectation now.
So what is the true value?
The true strategic ROI lies in building process intelligence. It lies in creating organizational resilience. It lies in increasing the accuracy and speed of decisions, all derived from the data those automations generate as they run.
Using automation to learn and improve continuously.
Exactly. So the question you must ask yourself or your organization is this. Are you designing your automation programs simply to execute existing tasks faster? Or are you designing them strategically to capture process data that enables those higher order benefits, the intelligence, the resilience, the continuous optimization?
Faster tasks versus smarter operations. A crucial difference.
A fundamental difference in approach and outcome. Think about that as...
That's a wrap for today's episode of the POTENZA podcast series, where we decode SAP, automate with RPA, and analyze with precision. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the technologies transforming tomorrow's enterprise. Got questions or ideas for a future episode? Drop them in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time. Thank you.